here for him.
Well, Jim and Jason, you have Gary's picks. Let's hear yours. Back to you guys upstairs.
All right, we'll let those out a little bit later. Thanks to Gary Blockus. Does a great job. The morning call there. Read it for life, the morning call. And Gary has sometimes 2-3 stories, and it's nice to see the call, Jason, hanging in out here at the Velodrome, and also 2 Sports bringing the live events. But the morning call gives it a good 2-3 articles a week, and I think that's great for the cyclists.
That's great. It keeps everybody informed about what's going on out here. Gary Blockus might be the lucky charm out here at the Velodrome.
There you go. I didn't realize his background. Gary, yeah, I'm sure the Flyers, if they hear that, they're going to want him back covering the Flyers, and the Phillies will want him on their beat too, although maybe the Phillies don't need him as much as the Sixers need him to do that. And we'll have to make a pick before tonight. I'm going to make it easy, though. I think I'm going with Kamil Kaczynski, too. I had a chance to talk to him a little bit before the race. And you know, a little Polish background. My father, John Krupka, his dad, Panko Krupka, we trace back to a little Pole in there. But, you know, I have a funny feeling Andy Lakatosh isn't going to let that thing just hand over to the Polish cyclist again.
It's going to be a very interesting final event. There's no doubt about that. Jim, I'll take Roberto Chiappa. If you're going to take Kaminski, I'm going to take Roberto Chiappa.
Okay, very good.
A little bit older, but I think the experience that he has, I think he's definitely got a chance in the race.
So there you have it, a Coke Zero on the line from up here in the broadcast booth.
Now, of course, in Japan, they actually bet on these races, the keirin, just like in our country, there are wagers that are made on horse racing. And you can go to the velodromes there and place your bets. The riders in Japan, they are actually sequestered at the track, so they cannot have any contact with anybody outside of the track during their races, so that nobody can kind of cheat a little bit. Keirin racing was introduced in Japan in 1947, right after World War II, and they introduced it to the country so that it would spark Japan's economy, actually.
So this is the last qualifier, I'm assuming, for the men's riders?
This is going to be the last qualifier, and I have to correct myself again. We're going to have 18 riders going into the semifinals. And they're going to have the bell lap coming around on this lap.
So here they go again, the riders almost 3 abreast there as they come across what will be the finish line in about 25 seconds. They are now down the backstretch. Someone has really laid it on there and jumped ahead of the field, pushed it out and stretched it.
That is Ed Dawkins from New Zealand. He is Marty Notstein's #1 pick for tonight, and it was kind of interesting that he did not make it into the semifinal on the first round. He had to go through the repechage. He was not taking any chances. My gosh, it was 15 bike lengths there between him and the rider in second place.
And I will not do a Mike Greenberg. I will not change my pick here. I'll stick with a Mike Golick and Kaczynski. Here you see them coming around. Wow, did he stretch his lead down that backstretch even before turn 3 and 4, Jason?
Look at that. I think he was very frustrated with himself that he had to go through the repechage. Now, this is an extra ride that he has to do, so we'll see how that affects him in the final and in the semifinal. But he wasn't taking any chances there.
And even waited till right before the finish line before he took his hand off that handlebar. Didn't want anything to go wrong.
Well, Marty Notstein is the one that came up with the odds here, and Ed Dawkins is 2-1. So he's got the best odds here of winning. At least that's Marty Notstein's opinion.
And Chiappa at 3-1. Kaczynski 4-1 with Sam Webster. Andy Lakatosh, a little bit of a long shot at 6-1, but he did well in his heat to qualify Lakatosh. And we heard a nice interview with Kristen, and it's good to see Andy back here at the track. You know, Jason, I know we're going to see, too, also, you had mentioned, here's the pro women. This is a super sprint elimination coming your way. Jackie Symes, maybe while we have a second here, you want to do a little mention, went to Italy, and he did very well.
Jackie Symes was not racing here last week. He was racing in Italy. He was doing a six-day race, which is basically a Madison that goes for 6 days. They do different types of Madison events every single night, and Jackie Symes won one of those nights. And on the very last night, he did an excellent ride. So Jackie is getting some international competition in other countries, not just here at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center. Mark my words, he is somebody to watch for the future.
There you go. You hear it, and congratulations to Jackie Symes. Anytime you can get on that international stage from here in the Lehigh Valley or from anywhere and win a race against that good competition over there, you certainly deserve kudos. So congratulations, Jackie Symes, and we'll be looking for him probably around 2012, maybe, Jason, on the big stage.
I would not be surprised. I'd be surprised if he's not there in 2012. Now, this is the women's super sprint elimination. Here's what's going to happen. This is a missing out for the first part of this race. So every lap around, we're going to pull the last woman across the line is going to be removed from the race. We are going to go down to 8 riders, and then we'll finish up the race with a 5-lap scratch race. So for the last 5 laps, no riders are going to be eliminated. And again, that is the simplest form of racing. The last 5 laps, whoever comes across the finish line will be the winner.
And over the last couple of weeks, if you were tuned in, and you should have been here on 2 Sports, we've had some very packed and full women's fields here.
Unbelievable women's fields. There is no doubt that this is the best place for the women in the world to be racing tonight. We have the Dutch riders, the Canadians, the New Zealanders, the Kiwis are here, and the Australians.
And Gary Block is his pick, I believe, out there. Yvonne Hingnar. Is that her even? Is she leading the field?
She, I believe, is leading the field there. That's right.
She is.
Again, there's 2 ways to race this, and Yvonne is doing one way. She is staying at the front. She's keeping the tempo nice and steady. It's a little bit difficult to do when you're out front there. Again, you're working about 30% harder than everybody else, but at least you can control the tempo of the race. You can also ride this from behind, and the nickname of this race is called The Devil Takes the Hindmost, and every so often you'll see a rider play the devil, will stay at the back, and right as they come to the finish line, just out sprints one rider in the back, and you pick them off one at a time. That's a difficult way to ride the race, though.
I know, but I guess some of them like to do it, as we've seen over here week in and week out. They love to go in the back end net, so if you're watching this on TV, look to the right of your screen. Now look to the left of your screen. You see somebody's going to go off here. Somebody down low. I like when the rider down low thinks kind of they're home free, and they look up and, oops, somebody's taking it high on the track.
That's the worst place to be. It looks good. When you're down on the bottom, it looks fine. It looks like you're going to be okay, and then all of a sudden the whole field just swooshes up over the top of you, and the next thing you know, Art McHugh's yelling your name, and you're out of the race.
And here they come around. It's turn 4. They head in. Somebody again down low trying to squeak in there. And that is so tough, Jason. You always point that out. When you get caught sort of down in the bottom of the pack, you're really kind of stuck because you got nowhere to go.
You have no racing room. Yep. And again, it's very tempting to be down there because it looks like you're fine, but at the last second, you're out.
Nice to see a different format. It reminds me a little bit, I mean, certainly you can't compare golf and cycling, but it reminds me of match play where, you start playing it as you lose holes. You may not get to play all 18 because if you're down 3 and you're on 16T, it's over.
Number 50 there, just being removed. One of our Canadian riders.
And you see somebody riding this one from the front. Although I should say if you're on 16T and 4 down, it's over. You could tie if you'd win 16, 17, 18. But nice to see that here, too, where you kind of get stuck in a little bit different format with the same races. I think it would get pretty dull here if every race was pretty much under the same format.
It's a great thing about track cycling. Every race is different, and we can modify these races up. I mean, we're looking at a combination of 2 different races here, a scratch race and a missing out that we've combined. So there's always a way to tweak up the races, make them very, very exciting.
And the interesting thing is the different riders like different, as you talk to the riders, different riders like different style races. And then that's another thing that makes it interesting. So there's some riders, you said, as you have mentioned, are good at this and love to participate in this portion of the missing out. And then you'll have somebody in there who's going to be a sprinter, and they're holding out for those last 5 laps, hoping they make it and can just take care of the field. Here comes somebody over the top again now. Does not want to monkey around with getting bumped out of the field.
And I believe that's one of our Dutch riders coming up over the top.
And I think 4 more riders have to be knocked from the field. Ooh, and there's a first time this season that we've had crash right in the first turn. And you see the medical assistants coming to the rider's aid.
It always looks a little worse than it really is, Jim. I mean, it's bad when you hit the ground, but I don't know, you got bikes flying and riders flying all